Hey y'all, it's your Missniecy, and I'm here to do a review for Sistas Season 8, Episode 8. The episode starts off with Hudson talking to the doctor to get an update on Gary, and the doctor basically tells Hudson that Gary's making a miraculous recovery. The doctor's like, he's conscious, he's still improving, and the drugs are wearing off. And I'm like, Gary must have 9 lives or something, because how does he take heroin and fentanyl and still alive? The doctor also says that Gary Borders is a resilient patient, and that's when Penelope shows up out of nowhere, and she's like, you know what else is resilient? Cockroaches. They refuse to die. Dr. Reed turns around and he's like, who are you? Penelope's like, I'm Gary Borders' fiance. Dr. Reed is like, what about that nice lady from yesterday? Andy, she said that she was Gary's fiance. Hudson steps in and he's like, this is a family matter, I will end it from here. And Dr. Reed is like, that's okay, because I have rounds to do anyway. Dr. Reed leaves and it's just Penelope and Hudson talking now. And Hudson's like, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in witness protection or something? Penelope's like, what I gotta be in witness protection for if Gary took a knife to the chest, so he's not gonna be a problem for me or anybody else. Hudson's like, didn't you just say the doctor Gary's gonna make a miraculous recovery? And Penelope's like, oh, that's too bad. Penelope's like, the world will be a better place without Gary. And Hudson's like, I always thought it was Andy who was the bitter whore that would try to take Gary out, but I must be wrong. It might be you. Penelope says, make sure you give Gary my best wishes, and she leaves. Over at Danny's having a therapy session with the therapist, and the therapist is like, I can't keep coming over here when you want me to. You have to make an appointment. Danny's like, okay, I'll commit that to memory. But this is a SOS, and Carisha's like, what's wrong? Danny's like, I think I lost my man and I'm losing my mind. Carisha's like, to quote you, that sounds mad extra, but go on. Danny goes on and tells her the whole thing with Tony and the leadership program. Danny's like, I used my words, and Carisha's like, so how exactly did you do that? Danny's like, I can't remember every word that I said, and Carisha's like, well, I can't help you if you ain't gonna be honest. Carisha's like, were you in public or were you in private? Were you around a group of people? Like, Danny's like, we were in public, I was at a restaurant and our friends were there. Carisha's like, well, did you have to do it in public? Danny's like, well, yeah, he confronted me with his friend in public, so why can't I confront him with my friend? Danny starts getting mad and she's like, I thought you told me to express my emotions, now you're telling me to hold back. Carisha's like, I'm not telling you that. She's basically telling her there's a time and place to do everything. Then she's telling Danny that this is basically signs of PTSD and anxiety and all this other stuff, right? Danny's like, okay, just list my demons while you act. Then Carisha tells her that she's using alcohol, sex, and drugs as devices to cope with whatever she's going through, and that's crutch, right? Then she tells Danny that she needs to work on being abstinent from those things. At the end of the conversation, Danny's like, so just tell me if I lost my man or not. Carisha's like, I can't be the one to tell you that. You gotta ask him. Over at the juice bar, Karen meets with Sabrina so that Sabrina can help her with the business plan for Rooster Riches, because Karen believes that this could be something that could help her provide for her and the babies. After the business plan, they have a little girl talk, and they talk about Karen's love life and how Karen needs to find somebody, and Karen's like, I don't need no. Karen's like, on top of that, I have 2 babies, 2 baby daddies in the business. I ain't got time for all that. Sabrina's not trying to hear all that. She's like, what about the guy that delivers packages to the salon? Karen's like, you talking about Trey? Sabrina's like, yeah. Karen's like, first of all, he's baby, and second of all, Pam is rocking a cradle. I don't need that. Then Sabrina's like, what about an old man? Karen's like, my big mama told me that old men give me worms. Sabrina's like, I'm not talking about an old man in that sense. I'm talking about an ex. Karen's like, I know you ain't talking about Zach. Me and Zach are in a better place, and we've been over it. Me and Fatima are getting better, so we ain't got to do it. Karen then has the audacity to open her mouth and say, me and Zach were probably done way before you even met Fatima. So why were you giving Fatima hell then if you knew that you and Zach were over it before they even met? Why did you even care that much? Sabrina's like, what about Aaron? You know he's obsessed with you. Karen's like, yeah, but I don't know about that. Karen's like, where's this even coming from? Sabrina's like, I don't want you to be lonely. Karen's like, I'm not lonely. I got the greatest love I ever had. Back over at the hospital, Andy shows up and Hudson's like, you finally made it. I called you last night because your fiance woke up, but you didn't show up till the next morning. Andy's like, hello to you too, but I had guests over. Hudson's like, the fiance that you're supposed to be love you couldn't come because you had guests over? Andy's like, that's not true. I tried to rush over here as soon as they left, but visiting hours were over. Hudson's like, that's so convenient. Andy's like, are you saying I'm lying? Hudson's like, if you breathe and you lie. Andy's like, what is it with you? We haven't had any interactions before Gary got stabbed. Now you have all this animosity towards me. What is it? Hudson's like, don't worry about it. I heard all the stories about what you did to Gary. Andy's like, what I did to Gary? Hudson's like, yeah, I won't let you hurt him. Andy's like, I'm done. Where's Gary? Hudson's like, wouldn't you like to know? Andy's like, I asked him that. Hudson's like, he went down for testing. And if I didn't know any better, it sounded like you cared. Andy's like, I don't have to prove my feelings for Gary to you. You're his employee, not his keeper. Hudson's like, well, Fatima's yours. Hudson's like, I have Gary's back and Fatima has your back. Andy's like, don't mention Fatima. You're not even worthy to wipe her red bottoms. Andy's like, keep her name out of your mouth. And Hudson's like, well, you need to keep Robin Audrey's private side of your mouth. The next thing we know, we see Andy slap Hudson. And I'm like, where was that same energy for Penelope when she slapped you inside your own home? Hudson's like, you're gonna regret that. Andy's like, the first thing I'm gonna have them do is remove you as power of attorney. The second thing is I'm gonna have my man fire you, and Penelope comes out of nowhere and she's like, your man. Andy's like, I can explain everything. Penelope's like, luckily I forgot my purse, and I'm glad that I did, because I would have missed you explaining your admiration for Gary. Say it again with your whole chest though. Penelope's like, he's your man, isn't he? And he always will be. Andy's like, Penelope, I could explain. Penelope's like, save it. Penelope's like, you lied when you say you still love my brother. Andy's like, can we just talk somewhere in private? Penelope's like, I don't want to go anywhere with you. Hudson's like, it seems like you two have a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm gonna go. Andy's like, Penelope, let me explain. Penelope's like, this better be good. Andy's like, I know what you thought you were, but that was just for Hudson's benefit. Penelope's like, so you're not really in love with Gary? Andy's like, no. And Penelope's like, why are you up here then standing by your man like this is a whole country song or something? Andy's like, you already know why this is for. Andy's like, I told you and your brother that over 1,000 times. Penelope's like, well, I don't believe you and neither does my brother. How are you going to speak for George? Penelope's like, Andy, just tell the truth for once. You like being Gary's fiance and you like throwing around your weight. That's why you did everything in your power to get me out the picture and wreck my relationship. Andy's like, that's not true. Penelope's like, why are you here then? Andy's like, because Gary asked for me to be here. Penelope's like, so y'all sure that y'all not in a real relationship? Penelope's like, tell me again that y'all not in a real relationship and you still love my brother. Andy's like, I do. Penelope's like, well, your love is lethal, and I'm gonna tell you one more time, stay away from her, brother. Hudson comes back out of nowhere, and he's like, you two still going at it? I don't know why, but that made me cackle. Then Penelope is like, nah, I'm just leaving. Over at Zach and Fatima's, it's the next morning, and Zach is like, didn't you have something to tell me? Fatima's like, yeah, it's about Robin. Zach is like, what did he do? She goes into the whole thing about Robin trying to blackmail her and sending those pictures to the precinct if she doesn't play nice with Hayden. Zach is so dramatic, he's like, we going to jail, and Fatima's like, we might. Zach is like, I got something to fix that. Fatima's like, what? Zach is like, you gotta kill her on speed dial. Why don't we just use it? Fatima's like, these are people we're talking about. Zach is like, Hayden is far from human, and Robin, he might be human. Fatima's like, honestly, I don't think Robin's even that mad at me. He's actually very fond of me. I think he's just doing this to protect Andy. Zach is like, I hope he's not too fond of you. Fatima's like, not like that. Fatima's like, you know what? This sounds like some thin line between love and hate mess. Fatima's like, Zach, what I need you to do is follow Hayden's every move. And Fatima's like, I'll work on Penelope. Over at the hospital, Andy finally made it to Gary's room, and Gary's like, Andy, you're really here. Andy's like, yeah, where else would I be? Gary's like, I got something to tell you. As soon as he goes to tell her, he stops because Penelope walks in the room. I wonder if he was going to tell her who stabbed him. At the airport, Tony is talking to Danny, and he basically wants to know what happened with her therapy session, and Danny lets him know that she's actually going to continue with the leadership program, and Tony's like, that's good, but that's only if you want to do it. And he tells Tony that Grisha recommended that she be abstinent from her 3 vices: sex, weed, and alcohol. Right? And Tony gives Danny a kiss on the cheek, and one of the employees sees it. Over at the bank, we see Sabrina talking to Maurice and Paige is complaining to Sabrina that she's late. Sabrina's like, it's 9:01, and you know why that doesn't matter? Because I'm your boss. Paige has the audacity to open her mouth and say, it's only because of affirmative action. Maurice is like, you know what, my hands are rated E for everyone, so Sabrina, can I drag her, please? Paige is like, you know what, it's too late. The Supreme Court has already spoken, so I wonder if your career is going to go up in an upward spiral. Paige is like, I'll see how far you go when you don't have diversity and inclusion efforts on your side. Sabrina's like, Paige, I know you would like to think I got this job because I'm black, but the truth is I got this job because I'm very well educated and I don't have to explain my credentials to you. I don't want to fall into the trap that Tony Moore said that would already be there. Paige is like, what trap is that? Sabrina's like, the one where entitled white women discredit a black woman's qualifications just so that they could degrade them, to undermine them and waste their time. Paige is like, I wasn't trying to do that, but who's Tony Morris? Sabrina is totally done with the conversation. She's like, if you need me, I'll be in my office. Penelope busted in the room, and Andy's like, you know what, Penelope, this is not the right time. Penelope's like, Andy, shut up. That's when Gary's like, Andy, who's this woman? Penelope's like, so you don't know who I am? Penelope's like, is this another one of y'all games that y'all like to play? Andy's like, Penelope, you need to leave. And Penelope's like, I'm not going anywhere until he acknowledges. Gary then says again, I don't know who this woman is. Penelope's like, so you don't know who I am? Let me refresh your memory. And then she smacks him. Penelope's like, I'm the woman that you were planning to marry before you got with this conniving whore. Andy basically tells her this is not the time or the place, and this is not how you gonna get the answers that you want if you clearly insulted me and berating a confused man. Hudson's like, for once, I actually agree with Andy. This dress is not good for Gary. Penelope's like, what about the stress he calls me? What about my baby? Gary's like, what baby are you talking about? Penelope's like, the one you took life from. Say you remember. Then that's when Penelope gets picked up by Hudson and she gets carried out the room. That's when Dr. Reed comes in and he's like, this is unacceptable. She will be banned from any future visits in the ICU. He tells Andy that she'll be banned too if it happens again. That's when Andy steps out to talk to Dr. Reed and Andy's like, will his memory loss be permanent? Hudson comes out of nowhere and he's like, don't answer that. Andy's like, I just want to know, will he be okay? Dr. Reed's like, he will make a full recovery. Hudson's like, just because he's awake now, that doesn't mean anything. I'm still his power of attorney and you have no right to ask him any questions. And he basically tells Dr. Reed that he will sue the hospital if he answers any more of Andy's questions. After the conversation with Hudson and Dr. Reed, Andy gets on the phone with somebody and she's like, I have to see you. We're at the salon. Pam is talking to Karen and they're talking about Roots to Riches stuff. That's when Aaron comes in out of nowhere and he's like, it's nice to see you, Karen. Sabrina must be a magician or something because as soon as she said Aaron's name, he appeared at the salon. We're at Andy's penthouse. The person that she apparently called to see was Fatima. They start talking and they're both like, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you since the whole Gary thing. And Fatima's like, I know. Andy's like, so give me the tea on the firm. And then Fatima's like, well, Robin gave Hayden your caseload. And then she starts going into the whole thing about Robin trying to blackmail her if she doesn't play nice with Hayden. And Andy's like, no, we can't have that. Robin knows that you and Zach are my friends. Calls. Fatima's like, no, I can handle him and Hayden. Then Andy goes into the whole thing about Penelope. And she mentions that Penelope slapped her. And Fatima's like, no, get up. Andy's like, where are we going? Fatima's like, stand right here. Andy's like, for what? Fatima's like, I'm gonna teach you how to fight. Fatima, you should have been taught how to fight. Over in the hospital parking lot, we see Penelope bawling her eyes out, and it's probably because Gary didn't acknowledge her. He's possibly also realizing that Andy means more to him than she ever would. And as she's crying, he pops up in the parking lot and he gets in a car. And Penelope's like, Jordan, you scared me, but what are you doing here? Jordan's like, I was going to ask you the same thing. Penelope's like, I was here to see Gary. Jordan's like, are you here as a concerned fiance or are you here to finish a job that you did and that you stabbed Gary? Penelope is apparently the one that did it, y'all. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Bye!